Imagine a telescope powerful enough to peer not just into distant galaxies, but into the very edge of time itself. That's exactly what the James Webb Space Telescope was built to do. Positioned nearly 1 million miles from Earth, it orbits a point in space known as L2, free from the interference of our planet's light and warmth. But nothing could have prepared astronomers for what it found next, an ancient structure so old, so massive, and so complex that it challenges everything we thought we knew about the early universe. For decades, cosmologists believed the early universe was chaotic and dark, a place where light had barely begun to stretch its arms across space. Galaxies hadn't fully formed, stars were only starting to ignite, and matter was scattered in random clumps. Yet what James Webb just captured is not chaos. It's order. It's design. It's a sprawling cosmic structure from a time when such structures simply shouldn't exist. And if this structure really is as old as it seems, then everything from the Big Bang Theory to the timeline of the universe may need to be rewritten. The structure, now dubbed the Ancient Web, is not just a single galaxy or even a cluster, it's an intricate network of galaxies, gas filaments, and gravitational knots stretching across hundreds of millions of light years. The James Webb Telescope picked it up using its infrared sensors, which allow it to look deeper into time than any telescope before it. The further away something is, the longer its light takes to reach us. So, when we observe galaxies billions of light years away, we're seeing them as they were billions of years ago. This particular structure, located over 13.3 billion light years away, dates back to just 400 million years after the Big Bang. But that's impossible. According to current models of cosmology, large-scale structures take billions of years to form. The early universe simply didn't have enough time to organize matter into anything this massive. It would be like finding a fully grown city of skyscrapers in the middle of a prehistoric forest. Astronomers stared in disbelief. Data was rechecked. Instruments were recalibrated. Peer-reviewed studies were launched almost overnight. And yet, the data was clear. This structure exists, and it's ancient. Some theorists began calling it the Ghost Lattice, as if it had slipped through the cracks of known physics to appear where it had no right to be. Others feared this might be the first real evidence that our understanding of the early universe is deeply flawed. How could such a massive, interconnected web of galaxies form so early? Did gravity behave differently back then? Was dark matter far more influential than we realized? Or, and this is the terrifying possibility, was there something before the Big Bang? Something that laid the groundwork for this structure to appear so soon? One hypothesis gaining traction is the idea of a cyclical universe, where our universe is just one iteration in an endless series of cosmic births and deaths. According to this theory, the universe collapses and re-expands over and over again in cycles spanning trillions of years. Each new universe inherits the memory of the last, perhaps encoded in gravity waves or in the very fabric of spacetime. Could the ancient web be a remnant from a previous universe? A leftover structure that somehow survived the last cosmic reset and re-emerged in our own universe like a fossil trapped in stone? If so, we may be standing on the edge of one of the greatest discoveries in human history. Tangible evidence of a universe before our own. But there's another, more haunting possibility. What if this structure wasn't natural? The symmetry, the balance, the unusual clustering patterns. Some astronomers have quietly whispered theories of artificial origin. Of course, the scientific community is cautious. No one wants to make the leap from unexplained to alien without hard evidence. But even the suggestion forces us to confront questions we've long avoided. What if we're not the first intelligent species to observe the universe? What if someone or something was already building, shaping, and manipulating cosmic matter billions of years before life ever emerged on Earth? What's even more disturbing is the structure's alignment. When mapped against the cosmic microwave background, the leftover radiation from the Big Bang, it shows a strange orientation, as if it knows the direction of the early universe's expansion better than we do. Some researchers believe this may point to an unknown force, or even an earlier expansion event, something that predates our Big Bang entirely. Could this be the smoking gun that the Big Bang wasn't the beginning? That something else lit the fuse? James Webb's mission was never to answer questions this big. It was meant to study the first stars and galaxies, to look for habitable exoplanets, to probe the atmospheres of alien worlds. But now it's poking holes in the very ceiling of our understanding. And perhaps the most spine-chilling part? The structure isn't alone. As James Webb continues scanning the heavens, more anomalies are appearing, small distortions in spacetime, faint signatures of radiation that don't fit any known model, clusters of galaxies that seem older than the laws of physics should allow. So what happens now? Do we rewrite the textbooks? Tear up decades of theory? Or do we double down, trying to force these impossible findings to fit our models, simply because the alternative is too terrifying to accept? For now, the scientific community is split. Some argue we need better instruments, more data, cooler heads. Others believe we're already living in the wake of a paradigm shift, that the James Webb Telescope has pulled back a curtain we weren't meant to lift. That in trying to understand the beginning, we may have stumbled onto something even older. Something that doesn't want to be found. Or worse, something that's been watching us all along. As scientists around the world scrambled to process what James Webb had just discovered, one uncomfortable question lingered. If this structure shouldn't exist, what else might be hiding out there, beyond the reach of even our most powerful instruments? The structure, composed of a sprawling lattice of ancient galaxies and unexplainable gravitational formations, became the epicenter of a growing storm in the scientific world. Some researchers clung to traditional models of galaxy formation, arguing that unknown variables, like cold dark matter or exotic quantum fluctuations, might explain the anomaly. But others began whispering about a deeper, more disturbing possibility. What if our model of cosmic time itself is wrong? The ancient structure, now being called the God Web in some circles, didn't just challenge the timeline, it obliterated it. The symmetry of its filaments, the density of its core, and the very placement of its galaxies hinted at a level of coordination that couldn't have happened by chance in such a young universe. It was as if something, or someone, had jump-started the process of cosmic formation, bending the laws of entropy to build something vast and purposeful. And that raises a terrifying possibility, that the early universe may have been influenced or even engineered. Some theoretical physicists began to re-examine the simulation hypothesis, the idea that our entire universe is a simulation running on a level of computational power far beyond our comprehension. In a simulated universe, time doesn't have to behave the way we expect. Structures can appear before their time if the simulation renders them early or if previous iterations left behind code. Could the God Web be a glitch? A leftover pattern from an earlier build? Or a deliberate insertion placed there as a marker, a test, or even a message? If we consider the implications seriously, then every observation from James Webb isn't just a window into the past. It's a possible interface with the designers of our universe. It sounds like science fiction, but the math behind it is increasingly hard to ignore. The structure doesn't just bend our expectations. It violates the thermodynamic constraints that have governed our models for nearly a century. Either our physics is broken, or something else is bending it behind the scenes. To complicate matters further, another telescope, China's space-based optical telescope JWST, due for launch soon, has already announced that they'll be directing their future scans toward the coordinates of this ancient formation. Meanwhile, ground-based observatories in Chile, Hawaii, and Antarctica are attempting to triangulate gravitational waves and energy readings from the same region. What they're finding isn't conclusive, but it's consistent. There are strange distortions in the space around the structure, like ripples from an object that shouldn't be there. Some believe these may be remnants of an ancient propulsion system, a civilization so advanced it could move entire galaxies. It might sound absurd, but so did black holes once. So did gravitational waves. So did the idea that the universe is expanding. Again and again, the cosmos has humbled us. This might just be the next moment of cosmic humility, a brutal realization that we are not at the center of the universe's story. We're not even the first chapter. In a classified report leaked from an international observatory conference, one scientist described the structure's central core as exhibiting light echo behavior, where light appears to bounce off an invisible surface and return with a delay. But the problem is, there's no known object in that region that could cause such echoes. Unless something is cloaked. Something is absorbing and redirecting energy in ways that defy our understanding. Think of it like radar pinging a stealth aircraft. Something is there, but it doesn't want to be seen. What if this structure isn't just old, but alive in some way? Not biologically, but as a functioning megastructure, like a Dyson sphere or a stellar engine on a galactic scale. The concept of a Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale, a species capable of harnessing the energy of an entire galaxy, has always existed at the fringes of speculation. But what if James Webb has just seen their ruins? Or worse, their infrastructure still running? The implications are staggering. If this structure is artificial, or even partially influenced by intelligence, then that changes everything. We are no longer just a curious species looking out at a silent universe. We're the new kids on the block, peering into a neighborhood that may have been bustling with activity long before we were born. And as every scientist knows, discovering you're not alone isn't always reassuring. Sometimes it means danger. The global community is taking this seriously. NASA has quietly formed a special analysis unit to investigate the structure's data, while the European Space Agency is coordinating with deep sky research programs to find similar anomalies elsewhere. But here's the problem: Webb is seeing farther and deeper than anything we've ever built. If this is the first structure of its kind, it may not be the only one. And that raises a chilling possibility. What if this is part of a network? A grid that spans not just galaxies, but dimensions? What if what we're seeing is only the tip of something that stretches through the hidden layers of the universe? Ancient religious texts often refer to beings from the heavens, to realms beyond time, to wars fought before the earth was formed. Could those myths have been distant echoes of truths buried in the stars? Might ancient civilizations, on Earth or beyond, have known more than we give them credit for? The James Webb Telescope may be a machine of science, but what it has revealed borders on myth. And maybe the boundary between the two was never as clear as we thought. For now, the structure remains under intense observation. New data is coming in daily, and with every update, more questions are raised. But one thing is becoming certain. The story of our universe is far more complex, far more ancient, and far more intelligent than we ever dared to believe. The James Webb Telescope has not just shown us the past. It has cracked open a vault that was sealed by time itself. And what lies inside may change not just our science, but our identity, our beliefs, and our very place in the cosmos. So, the next time you look up at the stars, ask yourself, what are you really seeing? Light? Time? Or a message sent across eternity, waiting for someone, anyone, to understand? Because the universe may be speaking. And at long last, we may be starting to hear.